Didn't even realize that it was 9 o'clock. Time's already flying.
Tis the witching hour.
It is on Halloween. It's the witching hour. So I made my lights red. It's like I'm in the red light district.
Yeah. This is the only black and orange thing I have, so why not?
I've got the pumpkin over.
Yeah,
you
that
do.
counts.
Yeah,
here.
that's part of the decor. Yeah.
Yeah, it's reversed.
It's weird.
Weird.
Spooky time, reverse, bizarro world.
I thought about cutting out little bat wings and putting them on the black and orange Gila monster, and I was like, no, I'm not a beardy mom. I can't do that. So I did not do that.
The herp, my herp society, it was mainly for kids to come, and they had like a costume contest, and someone brought their sulcata, and they put like a costume on that, and it was walking around with like spider legs, so it was pretty cute.
That's cool. Halloween, we got to do it. This is the Halloween episode.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
There was a kid that had a really cool chameleon outfit on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was really into it.
Like with the curled tail and everything.
Yeah, and the like two like claw. Yeah.
That's cool. That's super cool. Well, ladies and germs, this is episode 141 of Snakes and Stogies.
Yes, it's Halloween.
Happy Halloween. My porch lights are off. Like Scrooge of Halloween.
We went to my sister's house, and I only got one notification that my doorbell was rang, and I looked, and it's like a group of like 6 kids, and they were like, "He's not home." And they're like, "Well, let's wait here 5 seconds, and then we'll see if he doesn't, then we'll leave." And then you hear 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're like, "Okay, he's not home," and they all like just dispersed. I don't even know whose kids are. Like I didn't even recognize them. I don't even know who they were. I was like, y'all came to the wrong neighborhood. There's like 8 houses on my street, and everyone goes there somewhere else. So, but
yeah, I went out front for a smoke earlier, which was a bad idea. You know, I was like, let me go out front and just poke around. I left my porch light off. There were no kids. It was really creepy. It was like a ghost town.
Dude, it's getting weird. People are just going to other places now. Like everyone's doing the trunk or treat things ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's gone out of vogue to go door to door. It's more just go to shopping areas, and it's safer, I guess. I don't. Are people?
Where's
just
the fun in that?
I don't really think it is, though. I think people think it's not safer because you hear more of the horror stories because of the internet and stuff. Like, I think it's statistically it's safer now than it was, when we were kids.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's like stories of fentanil. Am I do you guys hear that?
You're
okay,
good.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah,
you're good. We hear the crickets, but it adds to the ambiance.
Oh yeah, I can't do anything about that.
That's fine.
I have baby skinks, and I'm really excited about it. So I'm feeding on them really well. Nice. I'm feeding them. I was worried that the parents, because I'm leaving them with the parents, and I thought, I got to feed the parents really well too. But it was so cute. I went over there tonight to feed them, and I look in there, and the baby's like cheek to cheek with the mom. Like, they're really social, the African fire skinks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Seems like a lot of skink species are like that.
Yeah. Especially like a gurney and stuff.
Yeah, they hang out with each other, right? And the monkey tails.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother level of communal.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
Eating mom's poop and everything.
Oh, like a turtle. Turtles do that too. Or tortoises.
Well, tonight, it is our Halloween episode. We are joined by the wonderful Lisa Farinha. And this episode is brought to you by the fine people of the Pacific Northwest, the Gendra, the Puget Sound Pythons.
Right yonder. Facebook, Instagram. Check them out. Puget Sound Pythons. And then BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Hit us up. You're looking for a rack, looking for a cage. You may want to place your orders before Christmas because things might start getting a little hectic. Like, we know it gets hectic for shipping and stuff in general, but strike while the iron's hot. False.
Yeah. I just put my order in for 2-foot sliders.
Oh.
Yep.
Sure.
About to go down.
Yeah. What are you putting in them?
I think I'm going to do a duet for pygmy rattlesnakes and probably a pairing enclosure for cerastes.
That'd be cool.
Because I feel like they're really content being on by themselves on their own, but I kind of want to do like the neutral ground thing. And actually, Jason Keller's in the group right now. I got to pick his brain about how he did his introductions and kind of have like a romantic hotel for them. A little heart-shaped jacuzzi, the works.
If Keller says anything other than luck, he's a liar.
Well, we have some tricks and treats tonight. Smitty, want to tell them what we're doing?
So I've got a whole box full of
swag
garments here. And then Phil had some stuff. So I didn't get enough pictures together for this. So we're gonna have to like pull some.
Well, I figured there was the first picture you sent me, which was I'm with you 110%. And then I figured that was going to be for the new t-shirt. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I have 3 decals. I have several decals left over from Daytona. And I have 3 decals that I never give to anybody who's not at Daytona. So this is your chance to get one of these decals.
And I have a small/medium flex fit hat. So this is a size that a lot of people didn't get. I had an extra one. So if you have a small head, because I do not, I'm pretty sure Phil doesn't either. These things are awesome. It's not white. It's the THP like acid green color. My lights make it look weird, but yeah. So I got that, and then I've got a couple different shirts, and yeah.
So we've got 4 species lined up. So should we just get more species?
I think.
Or do you want to save that box of goodies for next week?
Or yeah, let's do that. So let's rock the 4.
Yeah.
And then that way we're not spending like 45 minutes doing this.
Yeah. So we're gonna do
we'll
first
pace
one,
ourselves.
Do we want to save the shirt for last?
Well, so you're doing the decals, and I'm gonna do the shirts.
I've got 3 decals. I've got a Venom Exchange radio sticker.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a Venomous Etiquette video sticker with the wrinkles.
Hog nose.
Yeah, the standing hog nose. And I've got a Billy Hunt custom hand cut OG Snakes and Stogies vehicle window decal for your tinted window. So I figured if you want to just do the 4 species that we picked earlier, and then I'll do the 2 round stickers together, maybe do the Snakes and Stogies one on its own, and then you do the shirt and the hat. There's 4.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Sure.
All right. Well, which one are we doing first?
Let's
say the species.
I'm not. All right. So
well, actually, before we do that, what are you smoking tonight?
At the moment, a Romacraft Aquitaine. We got the cranium side, the Toros. They call it cranium. It's Toro. Got that size back in stock, and that is probably my favorite size in this blend. And so I've been smoking them like crazy since Raja got them back in. And then I have an Oliva V double Toro on standby because I've also been on a real hardcore kick with those lately. So
yeah.
What are you smoking?
I have been saving. This is my last box press Cro-Magnon from you, and I've been saving it for Halloween.
My God, you've had that for how long?
You gave it to me in Daytona.
This year?
Yeah.
No way.
No? Yeah, you did.
No, it had to be the year before that.
No, that's not true.
We haven't had those in a very long time. I don't know.
I thought you gave it to me in Daytona. I mean, it tastes great. It feels great. So, and I was actually, excuse me, I was going to ask you. I always cut, because I'm such a fan of the cat's eye, the V cut, if you will, especially the Colibri cutter that you got me. I always cut them with the horizontal line of the box press.
That's usually what I do too.
But tonight, I was like, man, as long as I don't go too deep and I don't destroy the cap, I did it the opposite.
Yeah.
Is that weird? Do other people do that?
No, I mean, I always do it with the grain just to have more surface area so I get sort of a better pull and it's not like bottlenecking. But These are two like great cigars. Like this is sort of the Liga versus the number 9 versus the T52 thing. So like what Phil has is a Connecticut broadleaf Maduro, so it's going to be rich. It's going to be fairly silky, smooth, sort of one-dimensional flavor-wise. Doesn't really change up a lot. And then the Aquitaine is a little more nuanced, a little spicier, a little pepperier, got a little bit more of a kick to it.
Yeah.
And I love both. I kind of go through phases where I'll like there will be a couple months where I smoke more of the Cro-Magnon. There's going to be a couple months where I smoke more of the Aquitaine. It just sort of depends. Same with number 9s and T52s. You know, I prefer T52s for the most part. I think T52 is the best of the Ligas.
No. Number 9 or die.
Yeah, but yes. So are we? What are we going to put up first?
Well,
the hat. I mean, the hat. The issue with the hat is like I'm letting people know it's small.
Tiny.
So if you got a big head, it ain't like tiny. But
or your child that's aspiring herper. The herper in the works,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So we can do that.
Yeah, let's do that one first.
All right. So
do you want to use the first species that you sent me, or do you want to use one of the ones I sent?
We'll do the first one because I already have them all pulled up and ready to go.
Oh, excellent. Beautiful. I don't have to do anything. This is great.
Prepared.
Yeah, look at you, man.
I was here like 20 minutes early. I was like, let me go ahead and get all this together. All right. So you guys know the deal, right? First person to drop the species gets it. And if no one gets it, then next thing is going to be the genus. And yeah, so.
And are we straight up accepting common names?
As
long as it's not like, we're looking at obviously it's a ball python and they say, oh, it's a ball python. If they say royal, will we accept it?
Sure.
Okay. All right. What?
I don't know. One of my windows, like these windows are just all of a sudden popping up like crazy. Go away.
Now, wasn't this supposed to be the second picture? I thought we were doing the pixelated one.
No,
first.
well, I saw I did this one first just because I feel like the first one was just too
it was a little obvious
to me.
It was obvious to me too. So
this one I figured would be tough.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll obviously we'll reveal the species if it gets guessed or doesn't get guessed.
Yeah, if it gets guessed, then we'll reveal it.
But right now, my computer is having a really hard time doing.
It's because you tried to do it all nicey, and that's
that's exactly it.
That's exactly it.
Did I send you the link?
To what? To the Google?
I think I did. Hold on.
I mean, I did. I didn't click it earlier because I was at work. Are you talking about the Flickr one?
Yes.
I didn't open the Flickr one because Flickr is such a pain in the ass.
That's
I have to.
Fine.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure because we're using an image. I wanted to give the person who did it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I see a lot of good answers, and these are some of the ones that I knew we'd get for this. Like as soon as I saw it, I was like, people are going to be guessing Oxyuranus like crazy.
Mm-hmm. They are.
I knew people would start going for Australia, and it's funny because inland was one of the ones. It is not on the continent of Australia, so.
Oh, wait. What do we got here? Are you seeing it, Smitty?
I am. Mike Kosicki. Right. You sharp man.
Very astute pupil.
Look at that.
Boom.
Dates at 36. It is, in fact, a Cape Cobra. And this photo, let me see if I can pull it up. See, that's the issue is like they're so variable that I was like, I had a speckled one kind of lined up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, do the gold. It's gonna be, I was like, people are gonna pick up on that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you can't do the gold. You can't do the overly speckled. I like that one because if it was a little more rotund, it would totally be a canna, a mole snake.
But I also I took out the mountains in the background and stuff too. So this is a picture by Theo How do you pronounce that last name, Phil? If you were in
I don't know. I
Okay.
can't. I don't want to butcher it. But Theo is a
Just Chow?
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a fantastic herper. He's an amazing scientist. He's done research in South Africa, Namibia, the Middle East, all over the Saudi Peninsula. I mean, great photography. And when I saw that you picked this one, I was like, fantastic first choice.
But I was like, I had to cut out the mountain and stuff in the back. So I was like, if I just show this, people are going to totally go to Australia and think that that's where we're at. So
yeah.
I was like, let's throw them a curveball, you know. So,
nice. Is this
great
in
picture.
the Drakensberg?
Where does I don't think it says exactly.
It doesn't? Okay.
I don't know. But I love Cape Cobras. That's probably my favorite cobra species. So
yeah, man.
Very near and dear, even though I'll never keep them.
So so Mike got it. Naja Nevia winning that ball cap.
He was quick on the draw with that one.
He was. Man knows the snakes.
I love it. As soon as I posted and I saw the taipans coming in, I was like, ah! They took the bait.
They took the bait. That's
all
good.
Right. Next up,
we'll do some stickers.
Sure.
All right. So this one's going to be for the Snakes and Stogies vehicle window decal.
Are we ready?
I said go. Let's do it. Boom. Boom.
And I don't know that genus is fully acceptable, at least right off the rip.
I'm gonna say, exactly. You can't say just the genus. We will not accept just the genus. You got to get closer than that, because I'm sorry, this is a super famous picture, and I was actually really apprehensive to pick this picture because it's so unique and it's in so many books. But if you're not into this type of animal, you may have never even heard of it.
Yeah, this one was. See, I knew Venestus would come up too. That is not Venestus. It's a tough one. I almost thought this one was almost a little unfair because we talked about this many moons ago, and it was a species that I wasn't even sort of aware of. So,
actually, can I give a hint to? Can I give a hint to the species because we've talked about it in a particular conversation on this show?
I mean, sure. I don't think anybody's really going to get it. So.
I mean, yeah. Well, it depends on how many people are diehards and re-listen to us. But this is a species of snake, obviously, that is in a natural area that is heavily protected by its local government. So much that there is there's active gunboat patrols patrolling the beach so that nobody goes anywhere near where this thing is found.
Don't be using Google Lens either. No reverse image searching.
Yeah, right. And what's funny is if certain individuals have any number, I would say at least I've got probably 4 or 5 books in my library that have the same photo in it. So if you know what kind of snake you might think it might very well be, and you have that book or one of those books, you're in there.
Oh, Gillen's close-ish.
Yep.
Dustin's not.
He's getting close.
I will say I almost chose Malcolmi for one of these, but that was another one that I felt was almost too obvious because it's such a unique and like blatantly different species.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, I know Mike's seen that picture. I know Gron's seen that picture too. Keller's getting close too.
He's whittling it down. It is not Calliophus.
Come on, no.
It is not Canberriensis.
Can we say that they're in the right neck of the woods?
You are in the right neck of the woods. It is not Fasciatus.
Fasciatus would be too easy, sweet D. So Mike is
see, Mike's
yeah.
older baby. There we go. Now we're
I will say that this is an adult, but it really doesn't matter because the babies are extremely similar looking.
That also does not narrow it down.
We gotta feel like we're giving them a clue, but we're really not.
Is it a section? Is it sexually dimorphic? Like
it is not sexually dimorphic. And this is not like a hormonal blue. This is just how they look.
Yeah, it's not photoshopped either.
Yeah, it's definitely not photoshopped. And when I say that the babies look very similar, the babies are the spitting image, just not as rich a blue.
I almost did a Schultz eye too, but I was like, that's another one where it's like such a cool species, but it was actually surprisingly hard to sort of think of ones that were like not super obscure to the point to where no one recognizes it, but also not so photogenic that it's not Flabomaculatus. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally agree with you. It's like you're picking a species that we've all seen, but maybe just not that phenotype, or maybe not this subspecies or whatever. And I will say that this is not a subspecies. This is its own species and has been its own species for a very long time.
It's not Malabar. You guys are all in the same, like you're in the genus. You're there.
All right.
Phrenatum, nope. Not Dynodon.
What do we want to give it another 60 seconds and then we'll call it quits and we'll save the sticker for next week?
Sure.
All right. Billy Jenkins says he needs more books.
No, this one was genuinely like when Phil sent it, I was like, that's almost cruel.
And see, like, I'm really glad that Henry's not in this group chat right now because Henry would have been he would have known exactly, because Henry and I've talked about how we're going to try and get him.
Fucatensis.
No, but very similar in pattern, very similar in stature. You guys are so close. So close.
For the record, I didn't pick this one too, just so we know. Phil had to take it there.
Yeah, but this is why it makes it fun, right? All right. We're gonna call it.
Yeah.
We'll remember this snake next time.
Yeah, exactly. No one's ever gonna forget this snake. All right, Justin, show it to him.
I closed Facebook. I didn't download the full image because I was like, I'll just show it in the messenger.
Oh no. The full image is where all the amazingness is. Billy Jenkins says I wanted to keep the decal. No, my friend, Billy Hunt has stacked me full of decals, so we've got plenty to give away.
Come on, Facebook. I was not prepared.
The people on their commute in the morning are going to hate this.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's not in Solaris, Chris. Hey, what's up, Par?
Open.
Dog's age.
Is keeping Timorensis pretty fun, Phil? Like you like keeping them?
Timorensis?
Yeah.
So I have very, very limited Timorensis stuff because, excuse me, my Timorensis were not mine. They were Billy and Casey's. So I was just basically babysitting them for a few months. And I love them. They were fantastic. And then the minute I gave them to the boys, they just became just the stereotypical poop on everything, flail around, not be friendly. So I don't know if it was the transition or if it was just I had them when they were still in an infancy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were still freaked out, so they were like not acting.
Well, and that was, and they weren't freaked out. I mean, they were so chill and so relaxed. It was very, very zen just handling them. And I kept them in my bedroom because I was paranoid I was going to do something wrong. And they were just awesome animals. And to be honest, I feel like if someone had them as like a pet in a pet capacity, they would be so much more rewarding than they already are. I really feel like if someone like yourself got into them, I feel like you'd really enjoy them and really appreciate them.
Well, like I keep the green tree pythons, and what's really cool about them is they hide during the day, but they have a system where they come out at night and they have their favorite perches that they like to hunt from.
Oh yeah.
And I imagine these guys do this something similar.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They definitely have their nightly routine and everything else. So, well, ladies and germs, this is Tremorosaurus buniana, the fairy pit viper. This is an endemic species to a small island area off the coast of Malaysia. And the island is home to many, many endemic species. So the government basically guards it hardcore from poachers, but there's also a ton of drug trafficking and human trafficking. So if you ever see like a tourist on the beach, they're not going to be there for very long. But yeah, Tremorosaurus buniana. I thought it was cool.
Okay. This next one I feel like is going to be easier.
We'll do the stickers, the other two stickers.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Venom Exchange Radio. Venom Etiquette videos. Stickers.
Oh, I can't see the chat. All right.
Ball Pythons 9 says, furiously Googling. See, I thought this one was fantastic. What a great photo.
I also considered this species, but I also wondered if it would be too
well, I like this one because it looks like so many other animals, except for maybe this photo. Is that Pia? Is that Pia lurking in the shadows?
I don't think it is.
Oh, by the way, Mike Kasicki says Meansy or Meansy. You are incorrect, sir. And in this group chat, we go by Goinai. So there you have it.
What about Keller?
Keller. All right. I didn't even see it. Let's do it. Jason Keller wins the stickers. Australaps superbus, the lowland copperhead.
Told you it was too easy.
Well, Keller knows the snakes,
Idiot.
man. Keller knows the snakes. He can't help it. Man's got exquisite taste.
There you go. It's just a very angry house snake.
Wow.
How gorgeous is that thing? And there were more photos in this set from this guy Nick on Flickr, and you could tell this was really cold weather. And I always just love how these snakes just handle the cold so well. It's awesome.
Love how there's their version of copperheads and then there's ours.
Yeah, right.
Very different.
Very different. All right.
Dustin Grant says that man is obsessed with them.
So this next one's gonna be it's gonna be hard. Like I didn't even know what it was. I mean,
it's very, very hard. I picked this one for two reasons, and I'll tell the reasons afterward.
It's not a hot dog. I will say that.
It is not a rotten sausage. Should we give some kind of hints?
It's not a snake. It's not a gecko.
We'll even go so far as to say it's an amphibian. And I think that if someone gets the locality and what it is in layman terms, I feel like that could be justified, right?
If they just guess the type of animal it is, because I don't know any idea what it is aside from what it is specifically. I'm completely unfamiliar with the.
Okay.
It's a dong. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Miguel.
It's not a Sicilian.
It's not a Sicilian. It has legs.
See, at least I kept it to snakes because I was like, it's snakes and stogies.
Oh,
Timothy Friesen says
I
salamander.
might know what it is.
What do you got, Lise?
I'll send you in private chat.
Okay. It is not a siren.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yep, not a siren. It's terrestrial. It has legs. All right, well, we'll just do it this way. Timothy Friesen, it is a salamander. Anybody wants to try and get closer than that? Maybe a country of origin, perhaps?
I don't even know what country these are from, so.
Okay. All right, we're just going to give it to Tim?
Yeah.
All right.
If your dong looks like that, you better see a doctor. Yeah. Let me pull up the full photo. They do not make this a quick process. Be prepared to be unenthralled.
Oh, it's so cute.
It is stupid cute. Don't you dare say unenthralled. So this, kids, is the Carpathos salamander, which scientific name is, oh my God, it's a mouthful. Lycia salamandra helversani, which is the Carpathos salamander. And this photo was actually taken by the one and only Nipper Reed. And the Carpathos salamander is a protected species of salamander endemic to the island of Carpathos in Greece. It's only found in Carpathos, and they're actually found in pretty good numbers. But what's special to this is that it's a colder weather salamander, and Anna Maria, my lovely girlfriend, is from the island of Carpathos, and she's actually never seen one. So there you have it. That's why I picked this one, in case she's listening. We know Nipper's going to listen to later.
See, I thought it was just a mean trick.
No, this is a truly endemic island species in Greece. So,
boo.
So now we know that I either pick them too easy or I pick them too hard. Great, wonderful. I thought it was cool.
Yes, Tim, you were the closest one with salamander, which is pretty much what I would have thrown out there anyways, because I literally couldn't tell you what anything about that species or what it was other than that it was a salamander. So
yeah, but is it not super cute? I think it's pretty freaking cute.
That means damn adorable.
I mean, let's be real. There's them and fires. I think those are the maybe a smiling marble, but those are like the cutest salamanders ever.
Yeah,
just saying.
What we need to do to just make, I don't know, we could either like keep doing it to where it's just like random stuff from around the globe, or if we stick to a continent that week, I don't know, but
yeah.
Well, I kind of like it when it's hard. When it was easy last week, it was kind of, I think this is more fun. Okay. It'll make people want to go back and see what it was that was so hard.
Definitely.
Maybe.
Yeah. And Keller, text me, man, with the address you want me to send all the stickers to.
Yes, Mike. So. Me as well.
Nice. Well, I think that was fun. We all learned a little something. And yeah.
More stuff next week.
Yeah, more stuff next week. More tricks and treats.
Yeah. So what's happening?
I just hatched out recently some baby fire skinks, which are super common, but they're adorable.
Yeah, but they're not always wild or captive bred. You know, you captive bred them. That's
and
so cool.
They just hatch in the enclosure with their parents. I didn't dig them up until I saw one, and I was like, "What? There's a baby in there!" And then I found 2 more, and I found 5 more eggs. So I took the eggs out, and I have them in a I took them away, and I put them in a little cream cheese container with some moss.
How tiny are they? Like, how small are they when they're?
They're probably a little over an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter.
Wow.
They're pretty small. And my favorite thing is seeing them interact with their parents. You know, that's what Phil was talking about earlier, wanting to see keep snakes together to see the interaction. I'm really into that. Like, it's scary sometimes because you don't want the bad thing to happen, but you never know. Something good might happen too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've heard. So the people that I've heard talk about fire skinks that kept them seem to really enjoy them. Like the people that had them, it wasn't just like, yeah, they're cool, they're fun. It was like, these things are extremely enjoyable to have. And
Oh, they are. They're so food driven. It's super easy to tame them. Like, I think they'd make a really, someone who's interested in getting a reptile and has no experience, I would 100% say get a fire skink. They're so easy. You just, all you need is a fish tank, throw in some dirt, put some plants in there. You have to keep the plants in a pot because they're diggers and they tunnel. So they'll dig up any plant. But if you keep it in a pot, and then when you water the plant in the pot, just let the water spill out over. So I keep one side dry and another side to more moist, and that's where I have most of the plants. And then I just have you can just buy those heat mats from the pet shop. They're just like they don't get really hot, but they stay warm, and so they can, if they want to be warmer, they can, because they sleep at night, they go burrow under the soil, and they can figure out where they want to be. And,
I've got those Zoom Ed ones that you're supposed to stick on the side, and what I want to do is if it says it's for 10 gallons, I'll get the one for 5 gallon. You know, I'll get like a smaller power one, but I don't stick them on the side. I'll do what you do, and I'll put it on the bottom, and I'll leave the that like protective plastic on there. You know what I mean? That you're supposed to peel off that has the adhesive. I'll leave that on there as kind of like an extra layer. And that way, if the animal wants to dig and get closer to the warmth, it can. And if it doesn't, then it just sits on the surface. You know?
Yeah. And the other thing I really like about them is unlike some other species, like I had the Aki. I ended up finding a new home for her, not because I didn't enjoy her, but I live in a small house, and my house was just like hot all the time, trying to keep that thing warm. So the skinks don't need a lot of heat. The only thing is that they do during the winter, they do kind of, they don't hibernate or brumate, but they do go a little dormant, and so you won't see them. So if you don't like that, then you wouldn't like them. But other than that, they're awesome. Like, so easy, so cute. They I can do little like circus tricks with them because they'll follow I can tongue feed them, and they'll run around, climb up on stuff. They're almost like, they're like actual pets. Like, unlike some, like keeping fish or keeping some reptiles, it's more like, you watch it. These are like pets. You can play with them.
That's cool. You just hatched out. What's that? No, see what you're gonna say, Smitty.
I was gonna say, yesterday I sat with the Aki cage open for probably 20 minutes and just a bowl full of mealworms, and Marv was out, the male, and I would just throw him in his direction. And after a while, he kind of figured out that like that movement of my hand meant food was like right near him. And so I was trying to get him sort of like not trying to like get him to come to me or like come on my hand and get food or whatever. But just like, okay, the giant ape's here, the door's open, he's not hurting me, but there is food showing up when he's here. So trying to sort of like, I guess, start back in sort of the bare bones of
acclimating.
Yeah.
Get them used to it.
Yeah. Akis are like that too. They're like pets, you could train them.
So you just hatched out a gecko too.
Oh yeah. Talk about small. The
crazy small.
Yeah, Gonyatodes albulgularis or something. Please don't ask me to speak Latin. Yeah, the yellow-headed gecko.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
super cool.
So
that is a species I have been super tempted within the last couple months to just get like a small group of them.
Yeah, they're cheap.
Keep them.
Yeah.
The males are gorgeous. And I think Gron has mentioned it a couple times, and he's like, man, you're not going to see them. They hide, they're very shy, and they're wild caught, but that just seems like, I love small, like miniature species, and I feel like those would just be
unlike the morning geckos, they don't escape like, I don't know why, because they're shy. Maybe they're just like, I'm staying in
More
here. I
secure,
found a place to hide. I'm not leaving it.
Yeah.
Morning geckos, they're like, oh, here's a tiny crack. I'm out of here. I'm just finding morning geckos everywhere all the time. Like, but yeah, the yellow-headed gecko, I got a male from the pet shop just on a whim. I had an empty tank and that was planted. And so I put him in there, and then after keeping him for a while, and like you said, he was shy. He would come out, but as soon as I would be like, oh, there he is, and come up to the tank and look at him, he'd be, I'm out of here, and he would just disappear. But I got him a female, and that female, she hid, and she never came out. She must have died because she was too afraid. So I got a second one, and the second one I got, she was awesome. I could throw the food in there, and she would just, because she was on it, she wanted to get it before him. She would run out and eat it in front of me. And then about a month ago, we had some rain and it got cool. So when it gets cold before, like this time of the year, when the weather's like hot, cold, I don't want to go run and adjust all the thermostats. So what I do is on the cool days, I open my blinds and it lets more light in and it warms up the reptile room. So I did that, and then like the very next day, it got up to the 90s, and my reptile room got up into the 90s because it warmed up the next day. And I hadn't seen her for a while, like for a few days, and she was usually out there begging for food. So I dug around to try to find her. I couldn't find her, but I found 2 little eggs. So that's why I was so happy when I hatched out the egg, because my guess is that maybe there was I didn't know she was gravid, and I'm thinking maybe the heat spike got to her.
Yeah.
And so I was really happy that the egg hatched, because she didn't die in vain.
Yeah, of course.
It sounds so callous when we just say, oh, it died, but I mean, it happens in nature.
Things happen.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in vain, like you said.
Yeah.
I showed Anna Maria your video of the little baby walking on the cork bark, and I was like, because we were talking about having you on the show, and I showed her, and she's like, oh, that's really cute. I was like, no, wait for it. And then you see your finger come into the camera, and it's like, holy crap, it's so tiny.
Yeah, I'm just keeping it in a takeaway tub that get like soup in or something.
Soup container.
I just poked holes in it and put some moss in there and some bark, and that way, because it's it can't see outside, so it feels really secure in there. And I'm just putting pinhead crickets and flies in there. It seems like it's eating because it looks like it's growing. It looks pretty plump. So
that's the way to do it.
There's one more egg that I found, and I tried to. I thought of you, Phil, because I was sitting there trying to candle the tiniest
like
little,
a Tic Tac.
It's smaller. It's like a shriveled up. When you get Chinese food and you put it in the fridge, and there's the dried up pea the next day.
The wrinkly pea.
It's like the size of a dried up wrinkly pea.
Oh man, that's tough.
but
they don't like adhere them to things like other geckos do. They bury them.
No, she had just laid it right on top of the substrate, like kind of in the back. Yeah. So that's
so here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It's easy, right?
Yeah. I found them, and I'm glad I found them, because that tank has an overgrowth of the dwarf white isopods, and those things are crazy. They eat everything in sight, and there's tons of them in there. I tried keeping other like cool isopods, and I think those things just outnumber them so much. They outcompete them.
Yeah.
I can't keep anything else in there.
Yeah, I actually went looking to get some isopods for some of the stiletto snake stuff, and they got really expensive. I was shocked at how crazy isopod prices have got. I got to hit up Jeff and Kendra.
Yeah, that's how it was when I was doing dart frogs and I needed them. I was like, what happened to just isopods for vivariums as cleanup crew? Like, I don't want to collect them all. I don't need the Pokemon isopods. I literally just need the ones that are going to eat things.
Yeah. I was looking at a local pet shop. It was like 10 or 12 dwarf whites for like $16, $17. It was crazy.
Have you looked into what, like, how moist do you keep the soil for those guys, Phil?
Not as moist as I'd like to, simply because they're in tubs that don't have the best ventilation. And so if I let it dry out, like completely dry out, and then I spray it down, it'll be dry in, say, a day or so, because there is good airflow. But if I soaked it down, like made it mucky, it would be like that for weeks. So I think what I'm having to do is, if I do end up putting in some kind of bioactive element, whether it be springtails or isopods or whatever, I'll probably have to do a cup of really wet, mixed compost, whatever you want to call it, and put that in the enclosure, so that if the bugs want to get into that, or they have to get into that, then they can.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, for my Aki enclosure, I didn't do it on purpose. It just happened because I would feed her the superworms.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after a while, some of the superworms pupated and turned into the beetles.
Yeah.
And I guess those beetles were going around laying eggs, because I had a colony of superworms in there.
Wow.
And anytime the Aki would go to the bathroom, they would just come up like, the worm, just go to town on the poop, and
worms and
gone.
doom.
Yeah. And so I don't know. It didn't seem like they were bothering the Aki at all. I worried about it at first, and then she didn't. She was fine. She would go in her tunnel at night and sleep down there with them. And
nice. Yeah, I was always amazed that those superworm beetles, those black ones, nothing wants to eat them because they have that smoky smell,
Yeah, they stink. I actually threw one into my my fire skinks, because, like I said, they're really food driven. My male went bam, like he just went straight to it, bam, crunched it, and then spit it out. But the Aki wouldn't even go near them.
I feed the darkling beetles to my Akis all the time. But I mean, those are regular mealworms, not superworms.
Okay, yeah. The superworm beetles, those black ones that smell like campfire.
Yeah, they have a weird, like, almost chemical smell.
Yeah. It's to me, it smells like a extinguished campfire,
or almost like burning plastic.
Burning
like
plastic.
Gross. Maybe. Like when I was a kid, my grandparents, they lived out in the country, and they would just burn the garbage, and it kind of smells like that. Really gross.
Oof.
But the fire skink was like, rah, and it was cool.
That's awesome.
But he spit it out. But the Aki was just like, ew, get that out of my face. And after a while, there would be quite a few in there, and so I just put them down the garbage disposal, because nothing wanted to eat them, and you don't want tons of beetle or worms in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like to feed off the beetles just to kind of call things back a bit, because if I recall, like, the darklings will eat, the pupa and stuff, that, like, pretty much anything if they're hungry enough. And I mean, I keep mine pretty well fed, but just to kind of keep the population down some, I get rid of the beetles and feed them off.
My favorite was one time when Mike Stefani was on a podcast, and they were asking him, well, do the crickets ever eat the baby, like bite the baby, or the roaches ever bite the baby monitors? And he's like, not my monitors. Like, what monitor is gonna sit there and let a bug bite it? Like, no. A sick one, not a healthy one.
I've always wondered where that old folks tale came from, or like the one where the superworms will eat their way out of your bearded dragon if you don't crush their heads. Like, I always want to know where those, like, folklore came from. It's crazy.
I've even heard the isopods will eat geckos, or
really.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen it, but I
think it's from one-off freak occurrences that people then label as,
or maybe
like,
the gecko had died and then they ate
it.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, we had somebody on here that was talking about how they were very specific as to what they use for their bioactive stuff when dealing with animals that lay eggs in the enclosure, because there was a particular isopod that it didn't necessarily eat the egg, but it would eat, like, the
calcium, probably.
Something off the outside that would damage the egg and basically compromise it.
I found some eggs when I was digging around in the skinks enclosure, and there's quite a few that were old and didn't make it. And I don't know if they had dried out and then the isopods got to them, because like I said, I just left them in there. I wasn't trying to breed them. They just were doing it, and maybe the eggs went bad and then they ate them, or maybe they ate them.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been some kind of slug or something.
I think there was a cyanea clutch where I had springtails and I had a few isopods in the egg box while they were incubating, just to see if that helped keep, the nasty stuff at bay. I didn't notice any issues. I mean, they were, I think, like are dwarf oranges a thing? I think they were oranges.
Yeah.
So it was some of those. So I don't know. I didn't have any issues, but I didn't have a ton in there. There was plenty of spag and other stuff for them to, do what they want with. But
yeah, I love it when you guys have the segment with the favorite books. So I actually brought one of my favorite books, and there's a book. It's a very cheap book. I recommend it to new keepers and old, but it's called The Art of Keeping Snakes by Philippe de Vosgelay.
Oh,
and
of course.
He's written it so simply, and there's a whole section on bioactive. And the way he explains it, it's almost like it's about having enough soil in there, so that what he says to do is you go in there and you want to turn the soil every now and then to let oxygen in, because it's not the bugs you put in it. There's like microbes and things in the soil that actually break down, like the healthy soil will break it down. And it's true, because I keep some Ridley-eye, some cave racers in a cage, and I never put any bugs in that enclosure, and they go to the bathroom, and I cleaned it out before, but I swear every time, because I have it planted and there's I have pothos, and so I have to take everything out, so it's a big ordeal. But I'm like, I better clean that. I haven't done it in so long, it's probably disgusting. But I take the plants out and I cannot find poop, and I feed those guys a lot. It only smells bad. Like, I can tell when when one of them has gone to the bathroom, but like, give it a few hours, I'll open the enclosure and it doesn't smell bad. I don't know what it is. It's the plants, like maybe all the air. But just, it's like you have to have a deep enough reservoir of soil.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing, even more than what we put in there.
Yeah, and you're using actual soil too?
Yeah, well, I did a mix. I put a whole bunch of. I put. I did like the zoo. The you can get it online. Like, look up the recipe online. You put like orchid bark and some moss and some charcoal. But then I also mixed in some topsoil too.
Yeah, and I feel like topsoil is super great with certain species, because I just started using it, and just sparingly, and I feel like, because it's organic and chock full of God knows what, it really helps, opposed to just having like the jungle mix, which is, like the cocoa fur and swag mixed up,
Yeah.
I feel like adding just that
like there's
little bit of
almost
topsoil,
organic matter in there for.
Yeah. That's great though.
I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, and they eat a lot, so.
Oh yeah.
Every time I go in there to try to clean it, I'm like, where is all the poop? I can't find it. I find the hair. Like, there'll be a little like smudge of hair, but it doesn't smell. It's like, it's amazing. Yeah. It's not even that big of an enclosure.
Scott brings up a good point with the, you need to watch most store-bought topsoils that have, most have fertilizers in them. So whenever I'm looking for topsoils, I find organic. If it has Miracle-Gro on the label, I don't buy it.
Yep.
Like, Scott's makes one that's just topsoil, because I check, there's no fertilizers in it. The stuff I use is it Black Cow? Just a brand called Black Cow. That's really, really nice and very.
You get that at Tractor Supply?
There's a local feed and seed here that has it, or a local hardware store. But I also, like with the Ackies, I did topsoil and a sand mix. I did like a 50-50 mix. And I use that Black Cow stuff, and I like it a lot. So, because usually when I put plants in a cage too, if they're potted, like with the rhinos and stuff, I take them out of whatever they came in. If it wasn't something like a clipping I grew myself, take them, rinse them off really good, wash them off really good, and then they get. I'll put like a layer of cypress mulch in the bottom of the pot just for sort of drainage, and then topsoil and maybe some other stuff mixed in every now and then, depending on what I have on hand. And then maybe I'll do another layer of cypress mulch on top. And that seems to work really well because when I was doing darts, I'd make my own ABG instead of buying it.
Yeah, that's what it's called, ABG.
Yeah,
I
ABG.
found a recipe for that.
Yeah, I'd make my own too. I get like lump charcoal and break it up real fine, mix that in with a little bit of cypress mulch, just to, like I said, for drainage, a little bit of sand. I'd add some coffee grounds in there.
Oh yeah,
because that's the layer that the frogs aren't touching, so I wouldn't have to worry about the caffeine and other things coming in contact. But the plants freaking explode when you throw a little bit of coffee grounds in there.
oh yeah.
And if you have a wife that drinks way more coffee than any normal human being should, you end up with a lot of coffee grounds. And she does like espresso, so we have the really fine espresso grounds, and you mix just even a little bit in the dirt. Mix it in the mixture. The plants go absolutely nuts.
Everybody loves caffeine.
I just recently did something kind of weird. Because I have a couple roach colonies that I keep, and I usually just throw all the frass and everything out. And this last time I collected it all and I put it in some of my pothos, and it seems like they really love it. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm just imagining this, but this pothos looks really happy.
I'm sure that works like $1 million. It's no, I feel like when you're dealing on such a small scale, like a pothos in a pot, and you're throwing frass in there with your organic soil and whatever other, substrate you're adding to the medium, it's no different than like if you have compost from your yard or manure from your yard and you're throwing it on, your vegetable garden in the backyard, just on a bigger scale.
Yeah. Well, I figured I was feeding the roaches veggies. And then it's almost like it's almost when you get it in a pile, like it's almost like worm castings.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to put this in my pot.
Yeah.
And I swear it looks happy.
Ryan Cox says he's popping in and out, and he wants to know if you've ever kept day geckos.
I haven't. I actually would. I was, before I got the morning geckos, and then before I got the yellowheads, I was thinking about getting some like neon day geckos or something like that. But I just ended up getting when I start out with something that I've never kept before, I don't want to get something that's really expensive, because I'm like, oh, if I end up killing this thing, it's gonna I don't want to get I don't want to grab the race car before I've learned how to drive the beater.
Yeah.
Well
Not that the morning geckos and yellow-headed geckos are beaters. They're wonderful animals. I love them to death.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Well, it's funny, we were talking about soils and stuff. So, I've got the stilettos. I'm trying to get them to eat, and rodents are probably going to be a no-go. So I actually wound up getting African blue-tailed skinks, but alive. And so right now I've left them alone. I introduced the skinks on today's Monday. I introduced the skinks on Friday. So tomorrow I'm going to go check, see what's what. And hopefully they ate them. But Henry had reached out to some people in Europe that have kept stilettos before, different species. And if mine are irregularis, apparently one of the first things to get them going is that they used chopped up whitefish and they used night crawlers. So I immediately went out and me and Anna Maria were at Pet Supermarket grabbing something, and they had night
tilapia or something.
Yeah, well, I'm probably going to do that, but I just got a container full of night crawlers, and I don't know if you've ever gone fishing, but they have that rich black soil when you buy worms for fishing. And if I can get them to at least eat one or two of these night crawlers, I'm probably going to wind up doing legit bioactive for each one of them, like in a smaller scale, like say a 10-gallon or something. And I'm probably going to pack it in full of, all this rich black soil and add that to the mix, because if I can get them eating earthworms, well, it's better than nothing,
How big are these steaks, Phil?
The biggest one I've got is probably about 20 inches and maybe as thick as my index finger.
Okay. Is that an adult size, or is that
baby? that if it is irregularis, then that would be an adult. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there are other species that get way bigger, but most of the West African stuff tends to stay under 2 foot, under 20 inches or so.
Neat.
So,
That's really cool.
let's see what happens.
It would be cool if you got a tank and like kept them in there and you could see them burrow and stuff.
Oh yeah. That'll be fun. I'm excited to experiment, and I've been taking notes, per Scott's recommendation. So I don't know, maybe we'll find something cool. Maybe we'll experience something. But
new frontiers.
So the question everyone wants to know: how's the white lips?
They're doing good. I just fed them for the second time last night. I have one baby that's being finicky, but there's a stark difference between this clutch and the first clutch. The eggs came out smaller. She laid 10 eggs last time, and then 14 eggs this time.
Oh wow!
And the eggs were a lot smaller. And I had one egg go bad during incubation. And then I had a couple of mishaps. So when I took the clutch out from her, I just put them in the egg box. I didn't separate them, or I'm scared of like ripping them or doing something.
Yeah.
So I just left them, and there was a couple that were on top of other eggs, and I had it where one baby, when it started to pip, it pipped like towards. Right towards.
Sucks.
And when I saw that, I thought, and it was like there were two that had pipped, and so the first time one pipped, and I just like put a little slit in all of them after that. And but this time it was kind of a disaster because the one had pipped, and I tore that one. So the one that was above the one that had pipped, I didn't notice that had happened until I had already slit that egg that was above. So I was like, oh crap, I better tear this off. So I like gently tore it off, set it to the side, and then started pipping all the other that hadn't pipped yet.
Okay.
And as I was doing that, the one that I had moved, the baby stuck its head out and just like took one look at me and shot out of the egg, ripped its umbilical cord, and bled to death. It was horrible. I feel like it's so sad.
Oh man,
it was horrible. Sorry. And so that happened, and then I had another baby that hatched out, and there was something with you could tell just by looking at it. Its stomach was like it had absorbed its yolk, but it was just like there was a bulge there. And then the next day it was separated from all the other babies, and it had passed away also.
Damn.
So I had this clutch was a learning experience, and I kind of wonder if it's because she went and laid back to back year to year, and maybe I didn't feed her enough, or something. Or the other thing that possibly could have happened is so last year I kept the incubator in the snake room, and it's warmer in there. This year I had it in my living room, in the corner. And so I was wondering if maybe the incubator didn't get as warm. Those are the only two reasons why. And these babies the other babies came out of the egg like ferocious, ready to eat. These babies are definitely more timid. Like I have to play with them, wiggle the food,
tease them a little more,
do the dance.
Yeah, the other ones were just like came out of the egg ready to murder.
Nice.
They still want to murder. I still have 4 of them, and they still want to murder.
But I mean, did you know was like the eggs were smaller, but did you have the incubator set up pretty much exactly the same? It was just
I did, location? But like I said, it's just my incubator is just an ice chest.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not I don't know how nice the commercial ones are, but I assume that it's maybe a little bit more
stable
or a little less stable and dependent on the room temperatures. And like I said, my reptile room stays a lot warmer than the rest of my house.
Yeah, so now, all in all, though, if you had 14 good eggs that went the distance, you lost 2. That's pretty awesome numbers.
No, 1 egg went bad pretty
Okay.
early, like about a month, little less than a month in.
Okay.
I left it there because it just looked kind of different than the other ones. Eventually I was like, the egg is dead. And it had, I took it out and cut it open. It had veins and stuff, but it had died pretty early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is something very interesting. I've been kind of like, wanting to say something and announce it. I mean, it's not, I'm probably overhyping it, but so it's pretty cool because everybody knows that the northern white lips will hatch out with a pattern. Some of them have banding, and they've never really seen that on the southerns yet. But my babies, so the first clutch, most of them just had 0 pattern, just looked totally like immaculate, no pattern at all.
It's clean.
Yeah. And but there were 2 babies that had a little faint speckling, like little spots. I told my friend we were teasing, I'm like, I have 2 that have spots. I'm gonna raise them up and make super spots. I'm gonna call them super spots.
Nice.
But yeah, and but I didn't even think anything of it because I just was like so excited just to have baby white lips. And but then this clutch hatched out, and there was a lot of them that had the spots, and some of them it was really obvious, like speckling all over them. And Ryan Young was like, did your babies hatch out with a pattern? And I was like, yeah. And I said 2 of them had pattern last time, but this time a lot of them have it. So he was like, I've never seen that before. So I asked around. I asked him, a guy in Florida that I know who's hatched white lips, if he's ever seen that. I asked a guy in Germany, and seems like no one's ever seen it before. So I was like,
wow.
this is like something new we didn't know. It really hit me then that that people really aren't hatching them out very often.
Yeah.
And you're gonna hold those back?
Oh yeah, especially I have a pair that have like really I mean, it fades as they get older, and they're dark because they go through a very slight color change where they get darker and the pattern fades. I don't know if you have the Barker's book, their 3rd volume of the Pythons of the World.
I don't, but I want it.
The white lips are in there.
I have a first one. Is it in the first one?
No, it's in the
only
3rd volume. The 3rd volume.
Okay.
There's a picture of a snake that because I don't know about northern white lips, but southern white lips sometimes I don't know why they do it, but they do like where they fire up and they change color, and they'll turn this like really beautiful silver color. It's like amazing when you see it. You're just like, I've never seen anything like. It's gorgeous.
I gotta look that up.
And there's a picture of one in the book, and if you look at that one, you can see like modeling on it on the sides of the snake. And I mean, I've stared at that picture, and I always thought that it was blemishes from being in the wild and having to fight their prey. And but Pearl, my big female, she fires up. My male never fires up. I don't know. And I've seen a snake that stays that fired up silver color all the time. It's not mine. It's someone I know. He has one, and it stays that silver color all the time. But Pearl only does it very randomly. And I think she kind of does it almost when she's hormonal, like growing follicles, because she does when I'm feeding her a lot and she's growing eggs. She turns her silver color. But anyways, you can see the modeling on her. And I thought the same thing because she had come in as a wild caught, but she was very young when she came in. So she shouldn't have all those scars on her.
Right.
Yeah.
And now that I know about these babies, I imagine that she probably had the modeling on her when she was a neonate.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And you just can't see it.
if you
And
took those babies and you put them like under a black light, because sometimes like people have done that with chondros, where for whatever reason you put them under a black light, and some of the pattern that you don't really see or that is super super subtle, unless you have them in like natural sunlight or something, you put them under a black light, and for whatever reason that pattern comes out, and you can kind of see it, without it. It's a weird illusion
cool.
kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
very cool.
I mean, I don't know what would happen if I breed the two babies back together. I mean, like I said, it fades. Like you can't see it on Pearl unless she's fired up, and it just all it looks like is like she has blemishes. So it's not something that's super beautiful. Like you're like, ooh, look at that beautiful pattern.
The black light thing is interesting to me because I wonder if that plays some sort of factor in like camouflage from birds, because birds can see things in many spectrums that we can't, and having that sort of effect may, like, we can't see it, but if a bird is flying by, maybe it helps them some way or another.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And speaking of black lights, I don't know if you noticed, but the group chat is loving your night mode on the chondro tank.
Oh yeah, I have it set up so it has the moonlight.
That's super cool. And like I noticed in the background, I was like, did someone just turn it off? It's like, no, that's the night mode. That's awesome.
Eventually it'll just go dark.
Oh, that's great.
Neat.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Is it just a normal, like, is it normal lighting that you've timed out to do that, or is it like one of those marine reef tank lights that does like the moon phases?
I'm not smart enough to like rig up something myself. I always tell, they're more expensive, but they're like plug and play basically. The Fluval.
Oh yeah,
it's the Fluval plant.
Oh nice. Okay.
And you work it on your phone. You just download an app and you can control them on your phone.
That's nice.
Cool. And if you ever are looking for that, just watch for sales.
No, I can imagine. Hey,
Black Friday's coming up.
Yeah, right. Mike's in the chat. Mike, you just missed it. We were just giving you kudos about superworms. Oh man, that's great though. That's awesome. So, and all the babies are doing good except for the one.
Yeah, well, even that baby I had to do the trick where you squeeze out a little bit of the brain.
Yeah.
And then she finally ate it.
Oh, that's easy peasy.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I actually I got some Northerns from Ryan Young, and I'm pretty stoked on those. I always thought, I like the Southerns, they're bigger, they have those really beautiful heads. There's just like, I just always liked them. And but I'm really into these Northerns, man. They're different. They're nicer.
They're not always trying to kill you.
Yeah, they don't go straight for the blood. They like try to like bluff you, and then they're like, oh, that didn't work, I'll just try to get out of here. And I'm like, oh, this was nice, it's not biting me.
That's good. That's cool.
Everyone always says it's the Southerns that are not the nice ones, but I was like, oh God, I never want a Northern if this is what the Southerns are like. Yeah, I think that's why they're not bred very often, because you really got to be into them and have patience with them and just love them for what they are. And you don't get to take a picture with them every day, because if they're not in the mood, you're not going to do it.
Selfies, you use the stick.
Yeah. I just I'm like, oh, you're beautiful, I don't need to be in this picture.
I get it.
One of the t-shirts I was talking about that my buddy made for me, I was like, make one with like blood splatter across it, and then make it say "There will be blood." But
that's good.
Like that movie. Because there's gonna be blood today, sir.
Oh, I can't imagine all those little nippers, those little nippy little babies, just getting them going, getting them all fired up, trying to feed them. Ugh.
And they have different personalities. Some of them go for the kill, where they'll like bite you and then try to wrap you and then squeeze. And they're strong snakes. Those white lips, if they want to constrict you, they're really strong. One time, Pearl, I had her on my hand, and she just got in a mood, and she wrapped my hand and started squeezing, and then like they're smart too. Like she knew she was wrapping my hand because she was wrapping my hand while she was staring at my face. Like she was like, "Guess what? This is you," and
I own you.
She just bared down. You just saw, she did the thing where she went for the kill, and I thought she dislocated my knuckle. Like it hurt so bad.
Really?
Yeah, it scared me. I was like, "Oh, I got her off me fast." And the little babies, they'll bite down on you and they'll sit there, and it's so bad. They'll squeeze you so tight that it looks like they're gonna break their own, spine, like because they wrap themselves.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But and then there's other ones that'll just bite. I'm not doing a good job marketing these guys because I have a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. No, it's good though.
But I mean,
people
hey,
need to know it.
Yeah, if you want one of these, this is what it's like.
There's the Instagram version of them, and then there's reality.
Yes. Well put.
Yeah, and I mean, if you don't love the snake for what it is, then maybe you don't really want it. If you just love the snake because you want to take a picture with it, then line up and pay $50.
I would love to take pictures of my Jansenii more, but they're so unpleasant to deal with once they're out of the cage. It's like, just get it back in there and be done.
Yeah.
Like, mother of God.
There's a lot of, I think, myths about them that like they kill each other. I actually think that they enjoy each other's company.
Yeah. I remember you mentioning that on NPR.
Yeah, they would strike me as a species that actually probably wouldn't be bad to cohab. I mean, maybe not full time, but for at least a decent chunk.
When my breeding pair were younger, I did, because I had always heard, they kill each other. So I would put them together on and off all the time, thinking, I want to habituate them to each other. Maybe that's why I have that opinion, because maybe it worked. But honestly, there's been because Pearl, when she's really hormonal and in food mode, where when females get into that season where they're just like, every little shadow, I'm gonna strike at it.
If it
every
moves,
movement, I'm gonna go for it because I'm just starving. So when I'm putting the male in, when she's like that, it's a little scary because I'm worried that she's going to see the movement, but if she smells him and knows it's him, she's never gone after him. The only time she's ever gone after him, it wasn't after him. It was when in my stupidity, I fed them in the same cage together, and she ate her rat so fast, he was still wrapped on his rat. She went over there and tried to eat his rat. Not tried to eat him, but he was wrapped on his rat.
Yeah, it's the fatal Lady and the Tramp.
And one of my favorite things that I'm so like, a little bit, I'm like, why did I breed him again? I shouldn't have done it. But I was being arrogant. I wanted to prove to myself that it wasn't an accident. It wasn't, I could do it again. So, but it was a really different experience breeding them the second time, because I did last time it kind of was an accident, they just locked up and I wasn't expecting it. And then they only locked up the one time. But this time I started in the spring after I had been feeding her. And then I just kept pairing them, kept feeding. And then as she got closer to ovulation, they weren't locking up as much. But he would guard her. He would lay on top of her.
Wow.
And guard her. And he's a mellow white lip. He's never bitten me. He's only bluff. He does the bluff strike. And then after that, he turns around and tries to just flee. But anytime I would try to get into the enclosure when they were both in there and he's laying on top of her, he would strike at me. And really like he wanted to get me. And, I had to be really careful from him when usually it was her. She's the one that I'm afraid of. During breeding time, she gets really mellow. It's weird. It's like she gets mellow during, other than food, she's hungry for food, but she's pretty mellow.
Have you ever tried, when doing the introductions, the paper plate trick? Paper plate on a snake hook?
No, I don't know that trick.
So we used to do this with a lot of different animals, mostly cobras, because cobras like stand up and stare at each other, you know. And what we do is take a paper plate and you tape it on the end of a snake hook on the U part, you know, because it's wider, and then you open one side where the host animal is, what usually a female, and obviously she's going to perk up or it's going to perk up, and you use the paper plate on the snake hook to block her face.
Oh.
And then you introduce the other snake. And then by the time the other snake has made its way around the enclosure or slithered through stuff, and they kind of start smelling each other, a lot of times, especially if you time everything right and you're pairing appropriately, you'll get like the male start doing his jerky jerk and the tail flipping, and maybe he might, you know, squirt some scent out or whatever. And at that point, it's been, you know, 60 seconds, 120 seconds. You can take that paper plate snake hook out. Now they see each other. They know that there's no food being introduced. They know that you're not reaching in there. I mean, it doesn't always work, but it's something that I know I've done in the past and some friends have done in the past. And it's an easy way to do introductions so that nobody thinks that there's rats flying around, you know.
Yeah, that's why I pair chondros during the day now.
That's another good one. Yeah,
pairing chondros at night, the couple of times I've done it, it was nerve-wracking. And then there was one time where I tried to feed the pair that I got that one clutch from together in the same tub, and that was an absolute disaster.
Oh, I can only imagine, man.
He was really, he's still super pissy. The female was super food driven all the time. And so it was like she was trying to grab the mouse. He was trying to grab me. Like I tried to give him a mouse while she had hers wrapped. And he was still trying to kill me. Like this did not work.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, not doing this again.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. So I have a little, she's only about, well, she's probably bigger now, but when I first put her in there, she was, I weighed her because I don't normally weigh my snakes, but so I put her in there. She's pretty small, and I put one of my, so I have two full-grown large male Beox. So I was gonna just keep them in there together, you know, so I could watch their behavior. And well, after about a day, the male went over there and was all over her, spurring her. She's tiny. So I took him out and she wasn't into it.
Mm-hmm.
I watched him for a few hours and she was not into it. And so I took him out and I asked Ryan Young, like, what's the smallest you've ever bred at chondro? And he said 500 grams. So I weighed her and she's like 350. She's tiny. But
how old is she?
Well, I got her from Dan Malari, and she was still all yellow. But he had sexed her, so old enough to sex. I don't know how old that is. I got her, and I'm like, how did he sex this thing? But she's a girl because the boys like her.
Nice.
I put the other male in there just to see how he would act. He did the same thing. But I'm not gonna. I decided I don't want to. I'm not going to try to breed her. I want her to get a little bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should.
Yeah. You know? I'm just enjoying watching her in there. She's a really great eater. I love that snake. She's a great eater. She'll like come up. She knows that I feed. So when she hunts, one of her spots is right at the edge of the glass where I open well, it's actually not glass. It's plexiglass, and so she goes right up to the front. There's a stick that goes to the corner, and she waits right there. And she's like, as soon as I open that door, her head comes out, and her eyes are black because their eyes are dilated. Oh, yeah. Whenever their eyes dilate like that, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it cracks me up because mine are like that. If I open the tub, like they do that thing where they like shoot out and they just stop.
Yeah,
like they're just waiting, and then
their eyes
like,
are like,
okay,
they see everything.
Yep.
They're ready to see any movement. Yeah, and so she moves around. She has different hunting spots, and it's one of the things I've noticed about. I think that is the snakes are naturally drawn to the water because they'll go over their water bowl, and that's where they hunt. They just sit there above the water dish and stare at the water dish. Because like instinctively they know the mammals. I don't smell a mammal trail, but here's some water.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Yeah.
So the one thing I always wonder though is because they live in a place that always rains. So I'm like, isn't it water everywhere where you live?
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily pool, you know?
Yeah.
So how many are in the enclosure behind you?
It's just that's the one. That's
It's
the
just the one
enclosure I was
female?
talking about. So I
Okay.
had her and the male. So it's just her. She has the whole thing to herself.
Yeah, because I
And
saw it on Instagram. It's
she'll
awesome.
move to different spots. She hides in the back. And then when she gets hungry, she'll move to the front and find a hunting spot, and she'll do the S thing, and she'll just sit there. It's really awesome.
That's
cool.
Cool.
I would really like. So I just put every plant I could think of in there because I have a hard time. I'm not really a plant person. So I just throw everything in, like whatever lives, that's what's gonna stay. But everything's doing great in there. I actually put do you guys ever watch any of Matt Somerville's videos or follow his Instagram? Yeah, he went up to the Iron Range, and they did this whole they found a ton of green tree pythons, and I think I forget her name, Kim. Anyway, she showed how the chondros would hunt underneath these passion fruit vines, and it showed that all these little probably mice and stuff were eating the passion vines. Yeah. So I put a passion flower in there. I joined a Facebook passion group, flower group, and they're like, oh, it'll never grow in a vivarium. You can't do that. It'll die. And I tried it in my Ridley eye enclosure, and it did die. But that one, that was the first one I made, and I didn't put enough ventilation in that one. So I had to retrofit more ventilation. But this one I put a lot more ventilation. It's a lot better. Everyone I build is I build it myself too. That's the other thing is I'm not a carpenter either, but I cut the plywood with a skill saw because I don't have a table saw.
Whatever works, right?
But it just adds more ventilation when it's not perfectly lined up.
Have you thought about using little computer fans and stuff, or no?
I mean, like I said, Phil, I'm not a technical person.
Neither am I.
But I do. There's 3 big vents across the top, and I can cover them and open them cool. And then I have vents on the lower and the front, and I'm sure the plants suck in a lot of air too.
Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, it's doing great. But I do have a ficus in there, and I'm going to take that out just because everything's growing so well that the plants are starting to fight over the light.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Scott's saying you're thinking of Christy Jensen. And
yes, Christy.
Yeah, she's an amazing photographer.
I knew it was a K name. Yeah, and she's great at building enclosures too.
Oh yeah.
Do you have issues with humidity out there? Is that a struggle?
Oh, in Sacramento. I live in Sacramento, California, right. And our humidity it is really dry here, but there's drier places. It's nothing like what Rob Stone probably has to deal with. It's very, I would say it's very human friendly. Maybe not perfect for some reptiles, but it's not horrible, and it you won't come out here and shrivel up if you come out here. And there's some days where it's low humidity, but it feels really good for people. And I don't ever have shedding problems with my white lips or you figure out what your room needs, right? Yeah. Pearl's enclosure has 2 big water bowls. She has a water bowl on her hot side and a water bowl on her cool side. So that adds humidity to it. She doesn't need it. I just did it. She just gets that because she gets extra. Because my male, he's in the same size enclosure as her, and he gets one, and he doesn't have. My green trees don't have problems shedding. I did when I moved, so I was keeping my green trees in my bathroom because I was worried about humidity. So I just knew the shower comes on, they get humidity, and but I about a year ago I moved them all into enclosures in my snake room, and one of my green pythons did have trouble shedding the first few times, and I don't know, maybe he just felt like it was new. he shed
stresses.
Yeah.
after that. He shed fine the next time, but
Mhm.
that one time I had to soak him.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's great. Like Sacramento has great humidity. Like it's not too much and it's not too dry.
It's good.
Yeah.
And it's also where Deftones are from, so that probably has something to do with it.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's so cool that you got all those plants in there and the moonlight and all
Yeah,
that.
I'm excited. As soon as I build one, I start thinking of the things that I could have done better, and then I'm like, oh, I need to build another one. And my dream would be to build one for the white lips, but I think they're just too big and too messy, and they
Clunky.
just smash every plant. And so I don't know. Plus, trying to find a white lip and I can't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, it can see you.
Yep. It's just crazy, like seeing the pictures of that enclosure on Instagram, and then you see the snake, and it's like this tiny little snake in this giant enclosure. It looks great.
Well, I wanted to put two in there. That's what I was gonna do, but
Yeah.
I just didn't want.
Wait, in a year or two, you probably will. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. Ryan Young was like, "Be careful! Don't put two males in there; they'll fight." I don't know. Sometimes I think we think that something bad will happen. I mean, it will be bad if they start fighting, but
Yeah.
if there's no female in there, maybe they won't fight. Doesn't oh God, what's his name? Shit, he's gonna be mad. Justin Julander's co-host on Fight.
Chuck. Yeah.
Chuck, yes. I'm just like Dr. Julander. I can't remember anyone's name. But,
he's been better at it lately. He has.
Yeah, he's not as tired. Yeah, he keeps two males with a female in an enclosure.
Yeah.
With his Tracy A?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You would think they might want to fight, right?
So I don't know, because I remember him talking about those, and if I recall right, he was saying that those, compared to other species, seem to get along better in groups than what's normal.
Yeah. It's kind of like the roaches. I keep some Halloween hissers. I mean, I know snakes aren't like roaches, but when I first bought them, I just got two females and a male, and they wouldn't eat. They weren't eating. They took forever to grow. It took forever for them to have babies. And then once they did have babies and the babies started to get bigger, they all come out and eat now, and they're not shy anymore, because it's like, the numbers gives them courage.
Yeah. They take forever to reproduce.
Yeah. They fight now. The males fight each other. I'll go in there and they're like moving the logs around, because I have some cork bark in there, and they're moving the cork bark around.
That's crazy. And you get the little
yeah. When they first started fighting, I was like, I thought it was a snake hissing. I was like, who's hissing at me? Like, why is there a snake hissing? And then I realized it was the roaches.
It's super cool. Love those little boogers. And Eric Hernandez says he does it with the tannin bars. He keeps the boys together. He says the boys cuddle more than the female. So
yeah, it might give them some courage. Like if you have tannin bars, that's cool, Eric. I like those.
All right.
And
you guys both have experience, right?
Yes. And
two very different experiences with the same snake.
Very different experiences with the same snake. But yeah, I know Rob with the oh God, he's gonna kill me now with the boas.
Candoya?
Yeah, and I can't remember the species name. It's gonna make me feel like an idiot. But anyway, with his Candoya, he basically was figuring out that he needs to have multiple males to.
I think it's the Bibroni.
Is it Bibroni? Yeah.
I mean, it's either that or Paulson, I think.
No, I think you're right. I think it's the Bibroni. Anyway, he's gonna yell at us.
Are those the tree ones?
Yeah. And he needs to have multiple. Yeah, you know what it is? I think it's Australis. He needs good call, Smitty. He needs to have males in there to get the ball rolling at that time of year, if you catch my drift. But he just keeps the males together too, and they're just chilling because They're both after the same common goal. You know what I mean?
It creates a
So-
competitive sort of drive
Yeah.
to be the first through the finish line,
Yeah. Oof.
so to speak.
It's not a race, guys. It's not a race. Unless you're a boa. Then it's a race.
Well, I just this year learned about how diamond pythons do that. They don't combat. They will just like casually wait their turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some are more polite than others.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the it's what is it they say there's always an exception to every rule.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you look at something like rattlesnakes that have this crazy combat display, but never hurt each other. It's purely a grappling match for dominance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. You think like the rattlesnakes
Like,
is ominous and venomous and
fucked up arm wrestling.
yeah, that's what it is. It's fucked up arm wrestling. But they never hurt each other. They don't bite each other.
And they're like a super social genus, right? Like they all
that's the thing is
during the
yeah, and you find these den sites with hundreds of rattlesnakes together, but the question lies, do we anthropomorphize them and say they like hanging out together, or is it simply that that's the best spot around? We're all just going to go there, and it's like, oh well, Lisa and Smitty are sleeping there, so it must be good. I'll sleep there too.
Well, it might be both. Like one complements the other. Like a snake that hates being around other snakes, it's gonna go die because it like. So they eventually have to learn to like to be around each other.
Yeah,
it's like going to Walmart. I don't ever like going to Walmart, but usually I have to.
Yeah, and otherwise you might die.
Yeah, but like if there's lots of people, I'm apprehensive to go. If there's no one there.
I try to get up really early in the morning.
I was going to say, the only time there isn't somebody at Walmart is when you're there at like 3 a.m. And that's
the time to go.
Not that early, though. No, don't go that early because then you're going to see some real whack jobs.
Let me tell you,
of Walmart.
Walmart at 3 a.m. is like being on another planet.
Yeah.
It's an experience.
It's like the lobby of Men in Black.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Like everyone's civil, everyone's there to do their thing, but it's just some creatures.
You got the crackhead sauntering around like a zombie.
Okay, guys, I know it's getting late, but that's why not to change the subject, but I know I keep going on and on and on about this book.
Yes.
Time. I read this book and I want everyone else to read it. It's so good. I wish I had more people to talk to about it. I'm like, there's a part towards the end in chapter 10 where he just says something that blew my mind. He talks about how there's the slaty gray snakes. They found out that because the female eggs will desiccate and not be able to absorb their yolk for some reason if there isn't enough moisture, that rather than just hatch out weak or to die, they will change sex. Even though they have the female chromosomes, they will hatch out with male testes and penises. So they live their life, they essentially are male, even though they have, but he doesn't go on. So I don't know if it's new research and they just don't know. Like he doesn't say, do they go on and reproduce?
Yeah.
Or do they, but it's crazy because it's like such a perfect adaptation, because if you think about it, in the whole book, they found out that there's so many species of snakes that when they, the males generally of most of the species he studied, they will go farther away, while the females will pretty much stay in the vicinity where they hatch.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there's not enough moisture that season for the eggs to hatch out right, then there's probably not enough prey. If there's not enough prey in the general vicinity, if there's not enough prey in the general area, then it's better to hatch out babies that are going to leave, right?
Yeah.
Because they're more likely to go find prey in other places, or maybe there's a chance. So
Yeah.
it's so cool. Like it just like goes on and on how perfect it is. And I'm just like, oh, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's just crazy how evolution and adaptation, the will adapt and pivot.
Yeah, and it raises so many questions because you hear about people like, oh, I hatched out all females, and I was like, oh my god, Ben Morrow, who
Mhm.
does that.
Yep.
I was like, did you see this? Because if you gene test those, it will say it's a female, but really it's a male, or what is it? Like he'll look at it and he'll be like, oh, that's a female, but it has testes and hemipenes. So
Crazy,
I don't know
right?
if that happens
Yeah.
to other species. The slaty grays, though, I think they have a range that goes all the way up into Papua New Guinea. So maybe they could go, because in New Guinea there's probably more rain than the localities that are in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they can find out if those have that adaptation. If they don't, and then it's 100% because the ones in Australia have had to deal with the droughts and stuff.
Wild.
It's so cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm just so geeked out by that, but
Yeah.
I just want
You gotta
everybody.
get
I've
the
heard
book.
nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, I think, Phil, you said you don't like storybooks. This kind of tells a story, but it tells a story about because he's
It's his story.
It's non-fictional.
Yeah.
And it's
And
the
that's
story of like the study of snakes, because when he first started out, it was just no one was doing it.
Yeah.
And he even got made fun of
crazy.
for doing it. But it's
gotta get
great.
it.
You
I
should
gotta
really
get it.
read it. I love it.
It's on the list. That and the Atheros book, right, Smitty?
Yeah.
It's a quick read too. Like you'll just fall into it, and he tells so many great like little side adventure stories,
Yeah, Tales of Lands of High Adventure. I love it. Love it.
Sorry for hijacking it.
No,
No,
that's cool. It's your show, girl.
Everybody
we are
read
due.
this book so we can talk about it.
We're due for a Billy's Book Club episode.
We 100% are.
Even though I see, like if I get that book, I'm probably not going to read it for at least another year, because I have just a stack of books that I have in line to read, but I take so damn long to finish books that they just end up sitting on my shelf for like 5 years before I actually even get around to reading them.
Well, what you got to do is you got to do some excerpts of them, and if you get hooked into it, you can stick with it. And if you're kind of like, I don't feel like picking that up, I'll pick up something else, and you go from there.
See, I struggle with that though. It's like if I open it and start it, I feel compelled to finish it.
Yeah, see, all my books are referenced, so like I'll read certain excerpts that I want to know about, and then I'm like, oh well, I'll just come back to that later. And so I've got like 5 books I'm reading right now, but I'm probably not going to finish them anytime soon because I'm doing all 5 at once.
Yeah, I'm reading the More Complete Carpet Python, but I'm trying to be really good and just like start at the beginning and finish it rather than skip around.
Big book.
I miss parts when I skip around. I'm like, oh, I didn't read that section.
Yeah. That's good.
I'm reading Hunters in the Trees right now.
An excellent book. I got about a third of the way in.
What is that one?
That's one about arboreal snake evolution and ecology.
Yeah, it's an older Krieger book, but it's awesome. You can find it.
It's not that old though. It's from like 2011, I think, is when it got published.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's still 10 years ago. 11 years ago.
Better than 30 years ago.
That's true. Very true.
It was in this
Bye, Mike. I love you.
Yeah, the Atheros book has to happen. I keep saying that, and I just need to get $150 together to get it. So,
yeah, dude, you gotta get more than that and bundle a few books together and save on the shipping. That's what you got to do. Especially those big, thick books like that. Shit weighs a lot.
Our Atheros, most of them are smaller than green tree pythons, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a small genus, little guys.
Yeah. It's
just no one's written a full blown book on bush vipers. So and that being one of my all time favorite genuses, genera. I gotta get them.
Oh yeah, look, Sean says $40 on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, my wish list is full of books, and every year, anytime people are like, "What are you know, I don't know, parents or Katie, what do I get you for your birthday or Christmas?" I'm like, "Here's a whole list of books. They're all expensive, but
yeah, that's literally my Amazon wish list. And what sucks is there's so many ones that are out of print.
yeah,
And like, I want there's a white cover chimera that's snakes of Western Sahara and then snakes of Morocco or reptiles of Morocco, and both of them are well over $200 now. And
yeah,
Oh,
crazy.
man.
yeah, I wound up biting the bullet because I wanted to get no, I can't remember the author's name. Nipper's gonna kill me, but one of his buddies in Israel contributed or co-authored Reptiles of Israel, and it's a white cover, and the thing is as thick as the new carpet book, and that cost me $250 because it's out of print, and well worth it, 100% well worth it. But it's probably one of the most expensive books I ever bought.
I think the most expensive one I have right now is that edition Chimera Dart Frog book.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which, if I was smart, I would sell and get the Athers book.
No, you never sell books. You keep them. You keep them close.
I'm cheap. I'm like, I can't spend that kind of money on a book. But I did spend some money when I bought the Blue Bible.
Oh yeah.
And I loved that book. And my friend gifted me the Snakes of Papua New Guinea.
The Grande purple cover?
It's blue. It's blue cover.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's I have the first edition of that.
Oh. Yeah, I love that book. I learned all about how to treat snake bites and stuff. I didn't know any of that stuff before.
And that was the first book at least in my life. That was the first book I ever got that had range maps with pinpoint localities where they had little triangles and squares.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah.
I love it. The new carpet book has range maps, but that one's just the best one.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Before we all had GPSs and stuff,
Yeah.
Then you look at the range map that O'Shea did with the little triangles and squares, right? And you're like, okay, that's near this city or this town, and there's a photograph of the habitat. Now I know how best to recreate it. And now that we have Google and the internet, sky's the limit, But I still go to that book. Oh
yeah. I actually, that reminds me, Phil, I was super excited when you invited me on because I was dying to talk to you, but I just don't feel like we're close enough to where I can just be like, hey,
what are you
Phil,
talking about?
I need to call you.
No, it's good. It's good.
This is kind of a dorky question.
Okay.
But so the new baby white lips, they do this little threat display, and I didn't notice it on the other ones, maybe because they were so big that they just weren't afraid. But these babies, they flatten their heads, and it makes the white of their lip pop out, and then they kind of their heads kind of get kind of a more wider, more triangle look. And I kept thinking, I was like, okay, because usually when we see non-venomous snakes do threat displays, they're always trying to mimic some venomous snake, or just, probably so in my mind I was like, what kind of snake are they mimicking? What would be in their home range that they're trying to mimic? And I didn't know, and I thought, Phil might know.
The only thing that I could think of that would be similar in that color pattern, and since you mentioned the blotching, that really turns a light bulb on, is that there's several different species or 7 different phenotypes of Agathopus laevis, the smooth death adders, that come from the same small island areas that the white lips, the southerns at least, come from. And it would not shock me because they come in every color of the rainbow, but most of them are slate grays and some opaque earth tone, stone tone colors, and it wouldn't shock me if that's them trying to, even if it's just them trying to make themselves look bigger. You know
What is the name of the black snake that lives in New Guinea? The
Pop one black.
Pop one black.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Do they do a when they're young? Do they look the same, or
I mean, I've never seen a baby one. The one that I had, I got it when it was like almost 3 foot, maybe 2.5 foot, and it was already jet black with some white.
Oh,
but it's not. But their threat display is completely different than what you
like
just
they
described.
don't flatten their head, and
they do. They open up
almost like a cobra head.
They open like a cobra. It's more, honestly, it's pretty much the same exact threat display as a false water cobra.
Yeah, that's sort of sideways broadening.
Where they like flip their body to the side. And
or like, have you ever seen an Australian tiger snake?
Up.
Australian tiger snake.
They do
photos,
that.
But they flatten out the hood, but it's not a full bold hood like a cobra, and then they turn to the side.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And then actually, not to toot my own horn, but in Ty and Scott's new book, there's actually a picture of the one that me and Henry used to play with, and opening her hood. And you can see it that there's clear as day a hood with a different coloration to it, but it's not the same kind of hood as a cobra. It's very linear, very streamlined. So, but yeah, I would say more closely. I mean, if you're, do they put their face down?
It's just, well, honestly, it's so minuscule that like when you know your snakes really well, you see what they're doing, but if you showed it to someone else, they wouldn't even notice it. So it's not that big of a deal, but I didn't notice it in the babies last time, and these babies were like where they flatten their head out, and it kind of makes the white of their lip pop out like a little frog lip or something.
It reminded me when I saw the pictures. It reminded me of some like rat snakes. Like you ever seen like a glades rat get really flat in the head?
They might just they all try to make themselves look bigger too.
Yeah,
but they're so tiny that you're like, you have to be more than bigger because you're not big no matter what you do. You're like, so you have to be venomous. So
they're trying, damn it.
Are they trying to look venomous?
I'm trying to find the picture of that one famous pink and gray death adder that comes out of the same island range as them. Let me see if I can pull it up.
I did see. I was able to find a photo of a small-eyed snake from a certain locality that had the spots and banding, but it was much more colorful than the white are. So.
Oh yeah.
What if I'm selling a reference book to buy another reference book, though, Patrick? He said, never, ever sell a reference book, ever.
Ever.
You never know when you're going to need that puppy.
I have a feeling I need a reference book on Atheris more than I need a reference book on dart frogs at this juncture.
Yeah. This is actually the picture from Ty and Scott's new book.
Oh, yeah.
That's weird. Cool.
That's a Goldie boy. Pseudo Haji.
Nowhere near as arboreal. But let me try and find that death adder picture.
Reference for reference. I think it's a fair trade. Someone want to buy a copy of Dart Frogs in Edition Chimera and let me know. Trade it straight up for an Atheris book. Of course, I'm sure as soon as I sell it, it'll be worth like $300 in the next year.
Yeah, it's how it always happens, right?
Joe Rosa, I can't turn up the volume yet, but tell Lisa she's fantastic.
Thanks, Joe. Everyone's been very sweet. I always get really nervous to come on these things because I'm such an amateur.
No, girl, you're in this. Whether you like to admit it or not, you're in this. You've been on NPR for crying out loud.
Yeah. I can't believe it happened.
You're one of the only people that I can say I know that have bred white lips. And not on accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did it for reals this time.
for reals. Oh man. But that's cool. I think if you get a chance to record that that threat display. Or
I
that
have a
defensive
photo of it.
display.
They're calming down a little, so they're not really doing it as much. But it's like I feel like I'll send it to you, and you'll be like, "No, that doesn't look like anything."
No, I mean I
you're
saw
never
it.
wrong.
I know. I know.
Well,
What you're
you can tell that they're because like when they flatten their heads so much that they suddenly look like an anaconda with their heads on top, their eyes on top of their head rather than on the side.
Yeah.
Like they're flattening it, and
they go into
what was
Sambo
interesting is that what got me was that they were popping out it made the white on their lip pop out, and it was the first time because one of my favorite things when I like go in the room and it's like dark like now, and I have like the ceiling light on and it's kind of dark because if they're in the black PVC cage, so it's dark in there and I don't have any lights on in there, so but if you look you can't see her in there, she's just hidden in the shadow, but then you just see this outline of this lip.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm like, that's the kiss of death. I was just like, yeah, you're a rat, you see that, you're gone.
That's so cool. So cool.
But so I'm always like, why would you want that lip? Like, what is the good? But I mean, the bars on the lip do look threatening. So if you were
I mean they're a pretty intimidating looking snake.
It looks like teeth on the side, and some carpet pythons have that, and Boelen's pythons have that. I love that's why I probably like the popwin carpets so much, because they have the strong banding on the lips too.
Yeah. So this is not the photo I was looking for, but this is one of my lavis that came out of Papua New Guinea, and it's a bad picture because you can't see the face, but the face has that distinct white lip, white and black markings, and you could kind of see the faint bandings.
A little bit. That looks like a freaking Malayan.
So yeah, that was one of the more drab banded lavis. I'll find that picture and I'll send it to you, and it's super white lipish.
That's probably what it is. I mean, they're small too, right? The death adders, they don't hatch up very big, or aren't born. They're not born. They're
born.
They're born. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, the New Guineas are even smaller than any of the mainland Australia ones. I mean, I think the largest lavis I had was maybe 18, 20 inches. I mean,
Did they have it for very long. Venom?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Extremely.
And
arguably the fastest strike of any snake on the planet.
I'll see if
and
I
somehow
can.
Still in a lapid.
Oh. Yeah, I'll find it. I'll send it.
I'll find the picture and I'll see if I can hold it up to the camera too of the little baby, so that other people can see it.
Yeah.
If I can find it. I take way too many photos on my phone.
It's called documentation.
It is. I've been doing it with the stilettos.
I like I said, when I was feeding the little skinks, and the baby was sitting there cheek to cheek with the mom, I run to go get my phone, come back, baby's gone. Always happens.
Yeah, it's interesting how.
So it's very. I feel like there's a better one, and I just can't find it.
That's all right. Show the one you got.
Okay.
The ominous crickets in the background.
Yeah, you get to a point where you just can't hear it anymore.
Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, you can see that clear as day. You can see
the white. Like normally, if you're standing above them, you can't see the white of the lip so prominently, and the eyes are kind of like pushed out to the side.
Have you ever seen an African herald snake?
No.
So,
but I want to see it if you have a photo.
Yeah. So herald snakes.
Show me every snake you got.
Herald snakes are cool.
Herald snakes are awesome. The genus is Crotopeltis, and there's several different species that.
I don't know if you can see it on this. Oh, you can. It's blurred out. But this is one of the ones that has the pattern.
Oh wow. So the Crotopeltis, wow, I can't talk tonight. Crotopeltis Yeah, it's hard on the camera.
Yeah,
it's hard to
not
see.
working.
So they flatten their head out like a viper, and let me see if I can get this phone to work. Oops. And they'll arch up and show the white lips that they have. I mean, this one's actually really pretty. This one has like a lot of blue in it.
Oh yeah, that is what So what are they trying to look? What is it trying to look like?
Basically, just
pretty much
making
anything
itself
in Africa that's venomous.
basically making itself bigger and badder.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I mean, it's just trying to like be like, look, I'm not just a little easy prey for you, but you know, doing anything it can at that point.
Yeah.
And you know how like everything in New Guinea is just crazy. Like you just know that there's a lot of prey, like predators out there. It's like eat or be eaten right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's very interesting though. I hope you get it on video. I'd like to see that. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, I'll try. No promises.
Yeah, because I feel like every white lip I've ever worked with was either just completely placid and mundane or just assed up, like ready to punch, you know?
Yeah. They come out with their sleeves rolled up and their brass knuckles on.
Little pack of cigarettes in the sleeve.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually have a wild caught that I bought during when everything was shut down and we got all that extra money, and then all of a sudden after it seemed like years there weren't any coming in, and there was none. If there were some coming in, people like that knew the importer were getting first dibs. But so I jumped on one, and it it was sold to me as a male, and I kind of think it's a female. I think it's a female. I had Riley look at it. He thinks it's female. We didn't probe it or anything, but it's had half of its tail bitten off, and it has scars on it, and it might just it might be a pet, but that thing is placid.
Really?
Yeah, I even just because I'm like, let me see if it'll let me boop its snoot, and I was like, boop. Boop, and the third time I went in to try to boop it again, bit the hell out of me, and it was like, bitch, I'm a fucking white lip.
That's good. That's
Sorry,
good.
pardon my French.
No, it's
they do have some level of patience.
Yeah, right. I don't know. It's always sad to see a snake scarred up or missing its tail tip or whatever, but especially with wild caught stuff, like that snake's been through the ringer and it's ready to keep going, you know. And I feel like it adds character, and I've got my Nubian cobra. I got it in 2006, I think.
Damn.
And it has no tail. It lost its tail with bad shed, and it's got all scars all over it. And he's been through the ringer before I got him, and he was already like 15, 20 inches when I got him. So it just keep on trucking, you know.
Yeah. Well, whatever had got its tail, I think it didn't live to tell the tale.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, I had a New Guinea pygmy mulga, and it was missing this eye. And you come up with these crazy stories of how it lost its eye, right? And you're thinking, oh, did it get bitten by a bird, or was it when the field collectors caught it in New Guinea or whatever? And then one day,
got in a bar fight.
Yeah, got in a bar fight, right? And it was in the Turkish bathhouse, and there were broken bottles.
Chicks dig scars.
Yeah. Well, so we used to call him Mr. Bateman because he was a lunatic, and we fed him a live mouse, and he would bite them. We rarely fed him live, and he would bite the mouse on the haunch. The mouse would turn, and he would let the mouse chew on that side of his face while he's just envenomating the crap out of it. And he would just let it happen. And we're like, dude, that's how he lost the eye. Like he sacrificed that eye. Or maybe he lost the eye and knew that it was gone and would let. And so we waited a couple weeks, fed him some frozen thawed, did it again, did the exact same thing. But a frozen thawed mouse, he would just bite it in the face and eat it. So he was a wild one, that one.
Should have named it Scott.
Yeah, Scott says smooth scaled stuff shows scarring more prominently.
Yeah. That the thing is, with this, I have a thing for the ones that just have the smooth scales and no pattern, because it just something about it just shows off the serpent. Like you can, it's just like you're looking at the snake, not like, oh, look at this pattern. Like you're looking at the pattern, you're just like, whoa, look at the way it's like coiled like that, or I don't know. It's just something that's just a little bit different that I just really am into. I really think it's gorgeous.
We each have our things we like about it, you know?
Yeah.
Some people like stripes, some people like bands. I'm team banded, you know? And
me too, Phil.
Yeah.
I like the bands, and I'm like, why the hell are you putting stripes on that Centralian python?
don't
like,
tell Billy.
That's my pet peeve. I'm like, out of all the snakes in the world, you cannot never show me a striped Centralian python that's more beautiful than a banded one, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, Scott just chimed in. He says, Mogas are the epitome of fuck around and find out.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. That's cool. Well, we're at the 2-hour mark. So, Lisa, where can people find you?
You can find me at Lisa Farinha at either Instagram or Facebook, I guess. I might not answer. I'm not good at like checking my stuff, like, so if I don't answer, don't take it personally. It's probably just me not knowing how to work my Facebook page or my Instagram.
They're not making it easier for anybody with all these weird updates and stuff they keep doing.
Yeah. And then all my group chat names
I'll find that someone had sent me a message and I'm like, I didn't see that, and it was like months ago.
It's getting ridiculous.
Yep. Roll with the punches. So,
and they wonder why everyone's jumping ship on Facebook.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, kids?
Thanks so much for having me on, guys. I really respect both of you guys. I love your style.
It's our pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Like, I can't say enough good things about you guys.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We love having you on, and glad that you're part of the clique.
Me too. Maybe one day I'll come to Florida and go to Daytona and hang out in the smoking gazebo. I'm not a smoker. I'm allergic to cigarette smoke, but I would definitely go, like, brave it.
It's a gazebo. It's open air. You'll be fine. Yeah, it's got the sea breeze. You'll be good to go.
Yeah, it's definitely breezy enough. You don't have to worry about that. There's no stagnant air on that beach at all.
Yeah, so it's good times. Good times.
Yeah. This episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram. BlackBoxCages.com. Damn it. All right. And then Puget Sound Pythons, also Facebook, Instagram. The fine folks, Jeff and Kendra. And we'll be back. So we were going to be doing Corn Stars Thursday, but there's a scheduling thing, so maybe ChondroCast Thursday.
Ooh.
I haven't fully decided yet.
Don't tease us, Smitty.
I know. But something will be happening Thursday. I just don't know what.
Okay.
So, what were you going to say, Lisa?
I was just going to say, guys, don't forget to show up early for the, to the next Snakes and Stogies, so you can get in on the contest.
The quiz.
It's good.
The weekly quizzes.
Absolutely. We'll try and get better at it, you know.
Maybe choose species that people actually know exist.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry,
we know
guys.
now.
Yes.
All right.
Mike Kosicki and Tim Friesen, hit me up.
Keller, text me.
Yep. We will see everybody later. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.